Hey guys, so today we're going to do something different. Usually I talk about the photos that I take on the field. Today I'm going to take it a next step. I'm going to print that photograph and I'm also going to frame that photograph. And it's not really that difficult. There is an initial learning curve, and of course, you got to invest in a printer and some photo papers, frames, and as such. But the joy of printing or seeing your photos, digital photos in print form is difficult to explain. So it's a multi-step workflow. I'm going to start with Lightroom, where I edit the photo both in Lightroom and Photoshop. And then I take it to the print module within Lightroom. And from there, it goes to the printer. I'm going to be using a 13 by 19 inch format. I find it difficult to source photo papers in India, the good quality ones, and the ones that are available are pretty expensive. And then once it's printed, I'm going to frame it. I use the frames that IKEA sells. They're not expensive. And, essentially, if you want to kind of have something on your wall before you decide you want to frame it, put a more expensive frame around it, this is a good way to go. So let's head to my system and start with the editing process. I'm going to be editing this photograph of the Black Kite. This was shot near a lake in Bangalore, outskirts of Bangalore actually, called BDKere. And it was a overcast day, so it's a bit dull sky, no features in the sky at all, and there's a lot of negative space. I had to literally angle my camera, straight up. So since I shot with my Sony A1, which is a 50 megapixel sensor, I have a lot of scope to crop. I'm going to go with the 16 by 9 aspect ratio because that works really well for negative space. So I'm going to kind of go to the crop, and now let me kind of right. I think about this should work. Yeah, let's look. Yes. Okay. I'm happy with this framing now. Next, I'm going to essentially add some life into this. I'm going to add some contrast, saturation, uh, some tone, some curve, and some sharpness. Okay, so let's start with I have some presets which allows me to add this quickly. So contrast and saturation, add a little bit of sharpness, add a little bit of curve, add some texture, and you can add a little bit of brightness as well, but I don't want to go for brightness before I adjust the tone curve. Calibration, yes, that allows me to kind of get a little bit better, vibrance in the colors. So, okay, let me go to the tone. Let me kind of lower the black slider until the blacks starts getting crushed. Same way for the whites, I move it until the whites starts to get clipped. That's when I stop. So 30 is good. Now the shadows, this is what will bring life. Recover shadows. I don't want to go too much because then I will lose contrast and I will start introducing noise. And then highlights slightly. Yes, I think this gives me a good starting space. Now, one of the things I have problems with is the featureless sky. Now, typically, this does not, in my view, make for a good photographs that you want to print because, again, it's very, very extremely dull. But however, such kind of photographs, the ones that you typically take on an overcast day, when the sun is non-existent or there's a lot of cloud cover, you can go for the black and white option. And that's what I kind of would want to go this time. So I flip the switch, go into the black and white mode. Now, right away, there is a lot of, contrast, but I'm not going to fix that in Lightroom. I'm going to flip to Photoshop, and I'm going to use the luminosity masks to essentially have fine adjustments and finer control with the blacks and the whites. All right, so let's go to Photoshop, right? And so this is the photo coming over from Lightroom, and I'm going to essentially add the luminosity curves. I'm also going to add a little bit of sharpness using the high pass filter. And then I'm also going to add some brightness to make it a little bit of a hikey kind of photograph. I think I like this look. Now I'm going to take it back into Lightroom and then go to the print module to get the image ready to print. Now I go to print, and I'm going to be printing this on a 13-inch by 19-inch Epson photo paper. It's a high gloss paper, and I have a template, which I had prepared before, which allows me to perfectly, frame it. I don't want the zoom to fill option. The reason is because this is eventually going to be printed in a 16 by 19 format. So some of the long edge of the paper is going to be cut, and then some of the white space is going to be covered by the matte that gets overlaid over this photo. It'll make sense when I show you the printing and framing process. So I think now this is good. I am ready to print, and let's kind of go to the printer now, view the print process. All right, the editing part is done, and now it's time to print the photo. So it's there in my print module in Lightroom, and I'm ready to fire the print button. But before that, I wanted to quickly talk about the paper and how you want to kind of handle it. So this is the paper that I'm going to be using. It's the Epson Ultra Premium photo paper in luster. And it's a photo paper, so you don't want to kind of get any fingerprints on the paper. So I use a gloves while handling this. Okay, now the gloves is on. And so this goes here. I make sure on this printer, the print side is facing me. And there you go. That was quick, actually. It took less than 2 minutes. And the reason is probably because this is a black and white, and I just have, essentially, just that bird. Rest of it is, pure white. So there's no print happening there. It's a very minimalist print. And I think, let's frame it and see the final outcome. I'm going to now demonstrate the framing process. So I have this frame here. I'll show this. So this was purchased from IKEA, and you get this in different colors. There's white, there's wood color, actually different kinds of finishes. And there's also a matte, so it gives a nice frame effect. So let's kind of look at the framing process. So this is good. And another thing that I like to do is, now typically I would, take this on top and then the board goes. But sometimes, because there's this gap, if you can see, the height of the paper is less than the height of this frame. So it can slip. There are chances of that slipping. So what I tend to do is I take this painter's tape. And the reason I was saying I use the painter's tape is because it can be easily peeled off without damaging the paper or the matte. here's the full frame one. I know there's a reflection, but I'm going to kind of hold it a little back. That's all, guys. Hope you learned something from this. Hope it inspired you to print your own photographs. It's always such a joy. If you haven't done it, give it a try. There's no greater joy than watching your own photographs come to life and get a place on your or somebody else's wall. So hope you guys like this, and see you soon next time.